And welcome back, everybody, to another Rob Mullins jazz piano video on YouTube. Woohoo! I want to thank all the subscribers for getting me up to 500 subs. It just happened today, which happens to be Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. If you want to read my Facebook story about talking to my dad before he passed, it's on my Facebook page. And don't forget, if you're going to watch my videos, please tell friends. Watch plenty of hours because I'm still not monetized, and encourage people to subscribe to the channel. So today what I want to talk about for all you jazz piano purists and enthusiasts out there, one of the biggest issues is trying to figure out what is the song list to take to a solo piano gig or something like a duo thing, a private party. Um, They used to call them high society gigs. And a lot of times, the obstacle for pianists, no matter what their level is the fact that they don't sing. And I've actually had people pay me not to sing because I'm that bad at singing. And that's part of why I'm so good at playing the piano. So, over the course of my career, for many years, I've been called to do cocktail parties and these private parties, retirement things for wealthy individuals. And I did a long stint at Bandera Restaurant in Brentwood, California, no longer there, sadly. But it was basically described as a jazz gig. It was 4 hours. They wanted classic jazz, mostly background music. But by the time people had a good steak and they had a few glasses of wine, they would start coming up with requests. So if you're a jazz purist and a pianist that is a jazz purist, that is great. But if you'd like to actually make some money on a gig as the gigs go on, then this video is for you. So we're going to talk about 10 cover songs that you can learn on the piano. You don't have to be able to sing them. And you can pull these out when people request you for things that are going to make them feel better, tip more, have a better time. So I'm going to start, and these are in no particular order, but I'm going to start with a piano song. And I'm not going to play any of these songs in the video. You can look all of them up. The last thing I need now that I've finally hit 500 subs is a copyright infringement by Billy Joel or Queen. But Billy Joel has a beautiful song called Piano Man, and it's not a jazz tune, although Billy Joel could play jazz. He was actually a great jazz player. And Piano Man is super easy. You can just kind of finger that melody after you play the intro. Everyone is going to know that intro. As soon as they hear it, they'll be like, oh my God, it's Piano Man by Billy Joel. Sometimes you get a crowd around the piano, and it's one of those good old boys sing-along tunes. Number 2, John Denver, Country Roads. Um, John Denver was originally from New York City, and I think his name was Dusseldorf or Dusseldorfel or something like that, but he went to Colorado with his guitar and wrote some super easy to play popular songs. One of them is Country Roads. I mean, what you're thinking here is getting people to sing along, because no matter how well you played the Joe Henderson tunes and how good you played the Herbie tunes on your high society party, or how good you played, I don't know, In a Sentimental Mood, people want to hear these pop tunes. So 2 is Country Roads by John Denver. People love that. Number 3, Clocks by Coldplay. Anybody under 40 is going to know that piano intro. It's super famous. It's extremely repetitive, and it only has a bridge, but you won't need to know the bridge, because once everybody gets on their feet and starts jumping around to Clocks, they'll think you're a genius because you were just some old jazz guy or a young jazz person, male or female or whatever, playing these obscure tunes that they didn't know. Oh my God, I just realized I left one off the list. Okay, that's all right. Number, what am I on? Number four is We Will Rock You by Queen. Now, this is a thing that a lot of people get confused about. So, back in my younger years, people would come up and they'd say, "Do you know how to play We Will Rock You by Queen?" And I would say, well, number one, I don't sing. Number two, I don't have Freddie Mercury's hair. Number three, I don't have a band with me. Number four, there is no piano on We Will Rock You, and there's no drum set. So all of that factual information would just make people mad. And the last thing that you want to do is make them mad when they've had a few drinks. I mean, anything could happen to you. Um, I played at this place one time, filling in for somebody down in Laguna or Newport Beach, and it said jazz out there on the big banner out there, and I was playing jazz, and it was really making the club manager upset, and he was watching me with a hidden video camera, and I was playing Take Five by Dave Brubeck and So What by Miles Davis, and he had a waitress that kept sending me up these absurd non-jazz requests like Whitney Houston and Marvin Gaye and all these things. And eventually he got so mad that I wouldn't play any of those non-jazz tunes, even though the banner over the club said jazz piano only. And I offered to give free CDs to the waitress. I said, here, it says jazz out there on the sign. Here's free copies of my jazz albums. It did not matter to that manager. Eventually, he wrote a little handwritten note and said, F you, you're fired. So I ended up having to leave in the middle of a happy hour. And the worst part is I was subbing for someone and I almost cost them their gig. So you want to consider all of that stuff. We Will Rock You. All you have to do is go boom, boom, whack, boom, boom, whack. Feet on the ground for the first two eighth notes, hand clap on the third note, hit a low E octave in the piano, and then play something simple, kind of like the melody at the beginning, going from a D to an E, back and forth. And then all of a sudden, everybody will pick up on that. And then you should be off and running. The theme from the Cheers TV show, that's a little older than some of the tunes, but everybody for about a 20 or 30-year time period, da 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 da, boom, da 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 da, they knew that little piano intro, and then they would not know the words, but it would be fine because it would be non-jazz, it would be relatable, something that ties everybody together. One of the more modern ones, I've lost track of the numbers now, sorry, is Someone Like You by Adele. And, just for the record, I'm not a fan of Adele. I'm a huge fan of Greg Kurstin, who I used to see playing these little bar gigs around LA 10 or 15 years ago before he got the producer gig with Adele. And Greg is one of the most brilliant jazz pianists and mallet players, along with his wife. They are unbelievable jazz virtuosos. And what Greg has made all his money doing is putting together Adele's career in the studio. And so when you hear an Adele song that's just piano and Adele, it's Greg Kurstin, and he is fantastic. Someone Like You by Adele, the easiest arpeggio out there. That's on purpose because they want any 5-year-old to be able to play that intro and everyone to understand it. Okay, here's some more old ones, and then I'm going to hit you with the two biggies of all time right at the end. Danny Boy is an old Irish drinking song, and I don't know if you've ever watched a TV show called Schitt's Creek, but the retired mom in that series, whenever they have a problem and they get in a lot of trouble in this podunk town or even in New York City, she just starts singing Danny Boy in every awkward situation, and it just solves all the problems. You can always go to Danny Boy. Another really easy one that people kind of they gather up a head of steam when they sing the chorus because of the way the melody is written, is Hit the Road Jack. And that one is super simple. You can look it up. It's just in C, it's C minor over B flat, A flat, G7, and that's the entire tune. So remember, what you're trying to do here is satisfy all the people that are not jazzers, that are likely to be the ones that are going to rehire you because of your versatility with pop music, right? My Girl is another great one, and My Girl is one that anybody that's listened to R&B in the past 50 years will recognize, and all you have to do is play the bass line, and you can even just play the bass line depending on how much everybody's had to drink, and just get by with that. It goes ba 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 ba. That's it. You could just do that. And remember, at these parties or even at the clubs, people will just walk up, and if they know the lyrics, they're just going to start singing them. And it's best, unless they're going to spill their drink in your Steinway, to just let them go. Let them sing, let them get it out of their system, and let them put $20 in the tip jar or more, or 50, or whatever they're going to do. I mean, I've known people to come up and put in $100, which brings me to the last two songs on the list. Tina Turner, God rest her soul, who died earlier in this year of 2023, took a song by Creedence Clearwater Revival called Proud Mary, and she did her own spin on it. And man, she, what made that song wasn't the complexities of the song. It was just her vibe and that time in her career, the era that it was in popular music. And, I hate the song. I never want to play it, but if somebody's going to put enough money in my hand, I'll do it for them. Okay. Now we come to the grand finale. So I'll just try and make this story quick because I don't want to take up too much time in this video. I'll be going back to more technical things about piano and, hand positions, keyboard geography, fingering, half step, reharmonizations, part 2. But watch all of that stuff that's already there on my channel, because there's a lot of videos. I've also done 42 solo albums, and you can support me by playing my Spotify and playing me on Apple Music. So anyway, when you get a request and you don't know the tune, right? And you've got a short time window in there, because the more people drink, the less patience they have. I was at the Bandera gig. This was, I don't know how many years ago it was. And we were just about ready to go to break. And this guy comes up, and he had brought in a party of 22 people for a birthday. Now, Bandera was a place where a Coca-Cola on ice was $15. A glass of wine was $25. And if you had something like a double tequila, it was $60 before tip. Okay, so you multiply that by 22 people who were there for hours, and you want to make that guy who's going to spend $5,000, and even, with a wine bill, it could be $10,000 that he's going to drop on that night. And he walks up to me and he says, this is my dad's birthday party, and we want you to do Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond. And I said, okay, we'll get to it after the break. And he said, fantastic. Now, I didn't know Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond. Purposefully, in certain points in my career, I made it a point to not screw up my jazz brain with music that was just really dumb, really stupid stuff that I didn't like. I'd much rather be working out something else on a George Russell theory workbook than thinking about Sweet Caroline. However, I didn't have a computer with me, and I could not find a chart to it, an easy chart quickly on my phone. So here's what I did. I went to the valet parking guy. I got my car out. I lived only about 4 blocks from the club. I turned on my MacBook Pro at home. I pulled up the YouTube. I transcribed the Neil Diamond tune, which is, it's really easy, but it's got little things in there that if you don't do those right, everyone's going to know it's not right. I wrote it down on a piece of notebook paper. I got in my car, drove back, I revaleted the car, got back on that piano bench with 1 minute to go before we had to start. And where bass player's looking over my shoulder, and the drummer, who was the band leader, was like sweating bullets the whole time. And I started out ba 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 ba, and then all of a sudden it's like the parting of the Red Sea. It's like the end of every Rocky movie. It's this amazing thing where all 22 of these people all got their wine glasses, they all stood up, and they all left their tables. Now, this is a super busy place that has no room, it's packed. And here they are gathering around the piano. And I get to the verse of the thing, and I didn't even have to worry that I didn't know the lyrics, that I didn't know the melody to the tune. All I had to do was play the chord structure and build right up to that big finish, which is the chorus where they all go, Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. Now, much to the horror of the managers of this club, to have a group of 22 bad karaoke singers going rogue in the middle of the restaurant, they let it go because these people were spending somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. And for the record, I hate that song. I haven't had to play it since that night. I hope I never have to play it ever again. But if somebody asks you for it and they'll pay you for it, you better be ready to go. It's like, playing a solo piano jazz gig is like the old Boy Scout slogan, always be prepared. Or maybe it was just be prepared. So anyway, that's my list. You can find all these tunes on the internet. None of them are hard to play, but add them when somebody comes up with these quote unquote really non-jazz, really stupid requests. And remember, I was at a jazz piano bar and got fired for playing jazz. So that'll show you the kind of variables that you have to deal with out there in the workplace. But anyway, that's the video for today. I'll be making more of them again. I've been tied up doing a bunch of other stuff, but thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.